Next, we have some examples of each of these forces. What I'll ask you to do is pause the video so that you can get a better read of these examples. We're not going to go through every single one, but some examples here of barriers to entry are what? Economies of scale, which we mentioned, brand identity, switching costs, proprietary product differences. What are examples of substitutes? So relative price performance of the substitutes, the switching cost as well, help determine that threat of substitutes if the consumer is more willing to use the substitute product than to use your product. When we look at the buying power of the buyers, what determines the buying power of the buyer? It is that concentration of the buyers, that the volume of buyers, what are the switching costs that the buyers have to go through. As well, when we look at suppliers, what helps determine supplier power? It is that differentiation of inputs. So does that supplier have a very differentiated product that you cannot, that you cannot easily source from a different supplier, and that particular input is integral to your particular product? So these are the determinants of the powers between suppliers, buyers, new entrants, and as well substitutes. When we talk about the industry rivalry there, or the intensity of the rivalry, what are some of the determinants? There is industry growth, looking at overcapacity in the, or excess capacity in the industry, looking at the differences in product, looking at the diversity of the competitors, looking at the exit barriers, for example, looking always as well, looking at switching costs. So these are other items that are helping to determine that power of the buyer or the supplier, or helping to determine, is that threat of new entrants high? Is that threat of substitutes high? So our 5 forces of competitive pressure are, first, that competition from established rivals. That's our major determinant of profitability, but also our competition from new entrants, substitutes, the bargaining power of our buyers, who are what? The customers. That is who we are selling our products to. And then the bargaining power of the suppliers. They are the ones who provide us with those raw materials. So from a structural standpoint, when the intensity of rivals is high, of rivals being those existing competitors, what does that mean? It means that the industry profitability is lower than what it would be, because what? The prices go down, the costs go up. Prices go down because the rivals are trying to get the best price, and try to sell that lower price to the customer. When the threat of new entrants is high, what does that do to the industry? Well, then profitability is again lowered, because prices are doing what? Prices are going down because we are trying to prevent those new entrants from coming into the market, not giving them the incentive to come into the market. And if prices are coming down, what does that mean? Probably the costs are coming up, because we are as well trying to advertise more. But what does that do to the industry profitability? Well, that profitability goes down. When there is an availability of very close substitutes, when that availability is high, what does that mean? It means industry profitability as well is lowered. Why? Because those prices must come down. So you do not want to give a customer a product-based reason. Part of the product-based reason is as well your costs there. So you do not want to have much higher costs when there are available close substitutes. As well, when the bargaining power of suppliers is high, the ones who are providing those raw inputs to you, when they have high power, then the industry profitability is low. Why? Because those costs are going up. So the suppliers are the ones who are controlling the cost. And what do they want? They want a higher cost because they're the ones who have the greater power. If the bargaining power, however, of the buyers, who it is that you are selling your products to, if those bargaining powers are high for the buyers, what does that do to industry profitability? Again, it lowers the profitability of the industry because what you must keep your costs down, or pardon me, you must keep your price down, which causes your cost to go up because again, what is it that you're trying to do? You're trying to advertise, you're trying to court those other customers, but still have a lower cost. A lower price, I beg your pardon. So when we look at industry value, we see that industry value is affected by what? The intensity of the rivalry among existing companies or competitors, the threat of the new entrants, and the substitutes. That is what is causing, or that is what is affecting how much value is actually in that industry. But then now that you have the value that's there, you have to determine who is going to receive that value. Is that value going to be received by the suppliers, or is that value going to be received by the buyers?